In 2001, the Jurassic Park franchise introduced the Spinosaurus into the film series, and in order to make it look like the next big bad thing, they made it fight and break the neck of a Tyrannosaurus Rex as soon as everyone got onto the island. But did you know that originally, this scene was supposed to be way darker and more intense than what we got? I've already gone over the scene described in the film's shooting script years ago, so you can check that out if you want, but there was actually some test footage done by Stan Winston's studio of some alternate ideas that also look like they would have taken things up a notch. What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Now, for today's video, I wanted to talk about some footage from Jurassic Park 3 that I'm sure most of you guys haven't seen. So, in the final cut of the movie, the way the Spinosaurus kills the T.rex is by grabbing a hold of its neck and snapping it in what would become one of the most controversial moments of the entire franchise, and most certainly the most controversial moment of the first Jurassic Park trilogy. I can remember being in the theater in 2001 and just looking on like, wow, I did not expect them to do that. Now, at the time in which this movie was being made, the original idea was for the baryonyx to be the new big bad dinosaur in the film. And we can see evidence of this in the movie storyboards, behind the scenes featurettes, and there was even an early logo made for the beast. Now, back when they were working with the more Spinosaurian-inspired design for the baryonyx, they used some large hand puppets before filming to try and get a feel for how this movie might be shot. And in this behind the scenes footage from Stan Winston's studio, things got pretty wild to say the least. We can see that the Spinosaurus actually has a pretty different design here compared to its final version, and in fact, if you're asking me, it looks like the head may even be a miniature version of the giant crocodile skull shape from Lake Placid, the 1999 classic with Betty White.
Come and get it!
The studio also made giant-sized animatronic effects for that movie, so just a theory. Now, in this battle, the T-Rex is actually forced to the ground where it lies in defeat, just before the Spinosaurus, which is way bigger by the way, bends down to the fallen animal's neck, picks it back up in its jaws off-screen, before showing the animal drop back to the earth with a massive wound torn out of its neck. Now, these wound effects look really good, and in fact, they kind of look way better than you'd expect them to, since this is all just previs for any sort of shooting schedule. My best guess as to why everything looks so good is that they're playing around with legitimate effects to get a feel for how the T-Rex would be defeated cinematically for this new movie. So this is all kind of super early days as far as how the filmmakers were planning on offing the T-Rex at this stage in production. Now keep in mind, the script also gives a pretty wild battle description with Dr. Alan Grant being splashed with blood from the animal after the Spinosaurus attacks it. So they definitely had a lot of ideas that never got used for the final movie. Now, what is in the final cut of the film that I don't think a lot of people have caught on to before are the gashes the Spinosaurus makes in the Tyrannosaurus skull. If you pay really, and I do mean this, like really close attention to the scene where the Spinosaurus actually breaks the T-Rex's neck, you can see that the claws of the animal sink into the upper portions of the Tyrannosaurus skull, pouring blood from the animal before the actual neck break is made. I don't think a lot of people have ever caught on to that detail though, since the sound design and movement of the neck break itself are kind of a little over the top, and it looks a little unbelievable in terms of arm mobility and musculature for the antagonizing dinosaur, but hey, it is a cool little detail that I do think is wild in this movie. Now, when it comes to the massive amounts of blood we see in the script and in this earlier concept design, I think that they would have made Jurassic Park 3 feel a little more in tone with the Lost World Jurassic Park had they been implemented into the final film. The idea of the animal picking the Tyrannosaur up in its jaws with no one knowing what's going on in the canopy of foliage above their heads before being slammed back down to the ground with a massive tear in its throat is a pretty memorable image, and in my mind I can see Amanda and Paul Kirby like running with the camera on them, and then you track like their head movements looking up to the top with the T-Rex's head like out of camera, and then it slams back down with a massive chunk of like flesh torn out of its throat and the Spinosaurus roaring. Like, I do think it would have been a very memorable image. And it would have been a brutal one that I think would have gone a long way for the movie. Now, look, believe it or not, there may be a chance that this was at least partially, and I want to emphasize this because there's no evidence, but it may have partially been supposed to be adapted on set during the fight. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, I have no idea if this exact movement was going to be used, but the final kill in Jurassic Park 3 is CGI, and it's not something that I think was supposed to happen so abruptly. Another bit of trivia for you guys about the set of Jurassic Park 3 is that during the battle, the Spinosaurus animatronic accidentally tore the head off of the T.rex rig. This is why you never really see any animatronic footage in that battle itself. There's literally nothing. It's pretty much all CGI. But if you go to trailers or behind the scenes footage, you do get a cool look at what was in store. In fact, the moment the Spinosaurus swipes the Tyrannosaur across the face is absent in the final movie, and I'm assuming a lot of other material may have been cut as well.
Follow me!
It really is a shame because while the final fight is a super memorable moment in the franchise, if not a very controversial one, some of these ideas are really cool that they were working on behind the scenes. And while I am super tired, and I mean super tired, you guys have heard me before, of seeing the T-Rex become a pushover in the Jurassic World sequels and even in Jurassic Park 3, I'd love to see this battle reversed, or maybe even have the Tyrannosaur do some of this stuff to another animal in a future project. Like, have that be the way the T-Rex kills something in a newer movie. One of the most interesting things about all of this deleted footage and the concepts and all of these ideas that they were playing around with the battle in Jurassic Park 3 is that you can see this was supposed to be a pivotal moment that everyone working on the film thought, we have to kill off the T-Rex in a brutally hardcore way. And when you watch the movie itself, it is, but it does kind of feel abrupt and like stuff was cut out or toned down, while there is still some fun stuff in it. I do think Dino Crisis 2 having a similar thing go down with the Giganotosaurus the year earlier in 2000 may have had something to do with that, but all in all, this idea of the torn flesh from the Tyrannosaur's neck is way darker, and the fact that none of that footage was really adapted or even in CGI, especially stuff from the script, like with Alan Grant being splashed with blood once the Spinosaurus, I think it kicks the T-Rex or something like that. You can tell something crazy went on behind the scenes while they were making this, and with the Spinosaurus animatronic ripping the head off the T-Rex on accident, and all of that footage of it like swiping the face of the animal only being shown in like trailers or a TV spot or something. Yeah, it's just another thing that adds to the whole fact that these Jurassic Park movies are extremely difficult to shoot. There's a lot of stuff that goes into planning them that may never get done just because of problems behind the scenes, but wow, they were planning for something pretty dark, and it is a shame that we never got to see it. That being said, give it to the T-Rex. Let it do something like that to an Acrocanthosaurus or a Spinosaurus for that matter. But hey guys, I've talked long enough. What do you think about this deleted idea with the hand puppets or the whole destroyed animatronic stuff that went on behind the scenes? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Now, before I go, I want to thank everyone that's helped me build my channel over the years. I'd also like to thank every one of you guys who've watched my stuff. You've all been extremely cool to me. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like and hope that you'll consider subscribing. God bless you all. Christ is King. See you guys in the next video, and as always, take it easy.